So a phenomenal photographer. He shoots everything in JPEG. Should I
So
say
do
that?
I.
And it's one of these things, like
And
you say that to people, they go, I can't believe it. It's
well,
possible.
that shows a good photographer
Yes.
because you better know your settings and you better, yeah, I mean, you have no safety net. It's
Yeah.
intimidating for people, but I don't think it's intimidating for people. I think people were brainwashed to think that real photographers shoot raw. They even made T-shirt with that on them. Real photographers shoot raw, and and photo clubs have have done a good job at pushing photographers to shoot raw because you're not a real photographer if you don't shoot raw, which actually is kind of the opposite because uh, you if you don't shoot raw, you have to make a lot more decision before you press that shutter. And indeed, I think you're a better photographer if you're able to shoot JPEG consistently well than if
Yeah.
you need to rely on a RAW file to make a lot of adjustments. So, that always makes me smile because I said, "Well, then I'm not a real photographer and I really don't care."
I you know, it's not too long ago that people used to shoot on film. So,
Yeah,
if
exactly. Yeah.
if you think,
So
like, you think JPEGs are limiting, try film.
exactly. And even JPEG, I mean, it's really not that limiting. And honestly, I never spend 5 seconds in Lightroom on any picture. Um, in the type of photography I do, there's nothing you're going to do to turn a bad picture into a good one. You can only make a strong photograph into a slightly better one with a couple sliders, right? But I don't remove things. I don't, I'm a purist in street photography, and there's no cloning. There is no removing things here and there. So it's very quick, and so yeah, I can't imagine having to deal with raw files. And I like to the idea of making the decisions before you press the shutter, of color or black and white, for example, because that is something you should know before you press the shutter. That's not something that you should leave to post-processing or you're not learning anything at that point. And no photograph is gonna be as strong in color as it is in black and white, so the decision should be made when you see the scene in front of your eyes. Is this color or is this black and white? And that will own that all the decisions you make, and I really believe that, and I see it all the time because on workshops, there are a lot of people who come on a workshop for the first time, and I never tell them shoot JPEG only, never. I that's they do whatever they want. But I often tell them if they're intrigued by it and they said, "Oh, that is so tempting. It would be so liberating to stop shooting RAW." I said, "Well, shoot both for a while and see how much you actually use your RAW files." And, um, and then making decisions before you press the shutter because that's what's going to teach you to become a better photographer. Decisions you make in post-processing are not gonna teach you to become a better photographer. So once you once you for example, cropping. Yes, we have I mean, the cropping tool is probably the best tool out there, right? Uh, but in the field, you should always be, in the frame of mind that it doesn't exist, that you don't have that possibility. So always try to shoot the exact frame you envision, exactly what you want. Yes, you can always tweak it later, but you should never think, "Oh, well, I can crop that later." That is a wrong approach. Get the frame, get an approaching shot if you think the moment is going to be gone by the time you get close enough, but try to get the shot exactly the way you envision it, the story you wanna tell that story without relying on the cropping tool, and then, of course, you have it, you can always fall back on it. It can certainly save the day, but it's only if needed and not, "Oh, not." I see a lot of people who, um I can tell even in just the way they move to approach a moment, to approach a shot, I can tell they're thinking, "Oh, I can get the shot now and I'll crop it later." But that's a wrong approach in my opinion. It's a lazy approach, really. Just no, get closer, get it the way you want it. You'll get so much more satisfaction and you'll become a better photographer, in my opinion.
Hey, let me just jump in real quick to tell you about the amazing sponsor of this episode, Platypod. Platypod offers innovative camera support systems designed to unleash your creativity. With their stable, versatile, and portable solutions, you can capture stunning shots like never before. And I'm not just saying that. As the host of the Camera Shake podcast, I can personally vouch for Platypod's incredible products. They've become an integral part of the show. In fact, I'm surrounded by various Platypod products holding up lights, cameras, microphones, and so on. It's really helped to transform the way I make the show and the way I shoot at home, in the studio, and on location. But don't just take my word for it. Explore Platypod's website at www.platypod.com to discover their range of products, including the Platypod Extreme, Platypod tripod heads, and the brand new handle, of course. Make sure to follow Platypod on Instagram and Facebook at Platypod Tripods for exclusive updates, tips, and giveaways. By choosing Platypod, you're not only investing in your photography, but you're also supporting the Camera Shake Photography Podcast. Thanks again to Platypod, our amazing sponsor. Platypod, where innovation never sleeps. Because there's the sort of the polar opposite ideology that basically says shoot it wider so that you can crop it, after the fact.
Yes. I mean, to a point, that's true because you need to straighten your verticals, and so you have to give yourself a little bit of space. Yes, but not a picture in a picture either. Yeah, I get it. And I always tell people, one step back sometime, because maybe your horizon line will be all crooked, or you'll need to, your verticals will be distorted. So that will crop a little bit. So you need to give yourself a little bit of space, but not like 10 steps.
It's an interesting thing because, I often thought about that kind of approach. Because what happens is you're forcing yourself. So in a sense, by limiting yourself, we'll talk about, limitations in a minute, but by limiting yourself in a way, you're forcing those decisions, or you're forcing yourself to make these decisions before you press the shutter. So it's like a front-loaded approach. You have to make the decisions, then you take the picture. Whilst if you're relying on post-production or editing, you just basically take the picture, then you make all the decisions afterwards. And it also means that you have, in a sense, on one hand, you have the freedom to change your decision later on. But I always compare that to, I remember years ago, um, this was before my stepdaughter learned how to drive. I remember having this conversation with her, this sort of slight, well, difference of opinion, let's put it this way, where she was telling me that because she was really good at playing Formula One or something on a PlayStation, she would be an excellent driver. And you say to her, well, no, you're not. You're not. No, I'd be. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed that clip, then press here for the full episode in glorious Technicolor. Hey, and don't forget to subscribe.